work. Oh, I'm live. I think I'm live. All right. All right. I hope I'm live. Let's see what the live chat says. All right, and we're live. All right, guys. Hey, thank you very much for coming out to this Chiang Mai meetup. Thank you, yellow organizers, the yellow meetup, for inviting me here in Chiang Mai. Absolutely love the city. Yeah, so I'm gonna do a screen share on the price. Yes, it is definitely dark. We'll turn the lights on after in order to do Q&A. Let's go straight to screen share. Everyone's familiar with me. My name is Tone Base. Please check out tonebase.com. And I just did my presentation. It was a brand new presentation, which I didn't stream yet. I'm saving it for the conferences. And let's talk a little bit about price. So what am I seeing from a price perspective? I don't know how many people watch the price. Hold on a second. Maybe get people to be like as quiet as they were during the presentation. Guys, keep it down, please. All right. So here's the long-term outlook of Bitcoin. Hope everybody can see the graph. Here's my long-term outlook of Bitcoin. Now, a lot of people are unhappy with me right now because I'm being very realistic about where Bitcoin is headed. And as you saw by my presentation, I'm a huge believer of Bitcoin. And I think Bitcoin will absolutely change the world. But believing in Bitcoin doesn't change the fact that it's probably a little bit overpriced, because the price of Bitcoin went up from approximately $250 all the way to $20,000 in a matter of 2 years. And that is just insane, okay? Once we pull back a little bit, we can set off on another moonshot to 100,000. But I still think it's gonna take a little bit of time. Can I be wrong on that? Absolutely I can. But from a long-term perspective, I have been waiting for the $5,000 test this entire year. And I still believe we're going to get it sometime next month, or maybe as late as December, or maybe the bear market can drag out. Can we turn around and go up? Yes, we can. Let me quickly go through my price outlook, and then I'm gonna spend time on Q&A. Here's my weekly chart that I've been spending the most amount of time on. How many of you in the room are traders? Awesome. And how many of you are coming to my trading workshop tomorrow? I got 1, 2, 3 over there. All right, I see a hand back there. That's 4. All right, great. Thank you for coming out tonight. Here's that descending triangle. A descending triangle is a very, very basic but very powerful and useful technical analysis tool. In my experience, I believe it's accurate about 70% of the time. And this triangle is calling for prices as low as 3,000. I would be happy with a low of 5,000. And then with the proper reversal, I can see us going back to the upside from there, but we'll reevaluate. Until I see the price of Bitcoin go above 7,500 on all exchanges, not Bitfinex because of Tether, on all exchanges, I will continue to assume that the triangle will break the way statistics expect it to break. The daily chart has not been very useful to traders, at least not my style of trading, but we are back in this very old purple channel that I used to write about long ago. And it was great when Bitcoin was moving up the channel. Everybody was happy. And then we got a little out of hand. So if we simply get back into this channel and we bottom out at 5,000 and stay in this channel, it would be absolutely amazing. And everybody will be happy with Bitcoin once again. going into the end of 2019. Okay, let's take a look at the short term. The 12-hour chart had its own little triangle. This is Bitfinex. Let me just reset this. And I am expecting it to go down a couple of more candles, and then maybe there'll be a turnaround short term. Short-term chart is also coming up on a little turnaround, and the short-term hourly chart. Oh, I turned it into the 10-minute chart actually, because the 10-minute chart gave you some very nice reversals here. Right here, this is known as a doji candle. This would have been a great short on a 10-minute candle. You have a doji at the top, along with one of these arrows that I really like to use. And here's a beautiful 9 right at the bottom using the 10-minute candle. And I think there was even a 9 at the top somewhere, right there. So I'm a big fan of this trading system known as the sequential. And you don't have to learn about it from me. Plenty of free resources, including all the free resources on my website that you can utilize. That's pretty much it. It's crazy how the amount of shorts is approaching new all-time high versus the amount of longs. That's absolutely amazing. And we'll see what that means. I'm not sure yet. And here is Tether. The panic in Tether is coming to an end. And the price, the last couple of times, the price on Bitfinex spiked so high above Bitstamp, it corrected in the opposite direction. And Tether itself got to its 9 on the sequential and is trying to get back to break even. Right now, Tether is only 3 cents, 3% below par, and it usually trades about 0.5% to 1 cent below par. That's pretty much my price outlook. I'd love to get to your Q&A. Let's stop screen share. Maybe we can turn some lights on for the cameras. I'm not going to go back to screen share. And we can turn off the projector and do some QA. Thanks, guys. I'm ready for your questions. But if we can, let's get some lights on. All right, let me slide over. I want to sit in camera's view. Hold on. Perfect. But I don't want to block the. But I don't want to block the camera. Let me do this. I'll sit over here. Let's get the microphone over. How's the audio? How's the audio for the live stream, guys? Are you guys good on the audio? Let's see some thumbs up. It's like a 10-second delay. Maybe for some extra light, let's leave it on. So the first 3 answers to how's the audio? Bad, good, not bad. All right. That's typical internet response. Everybody's generally unhappy. All right, let's do it. Question. I hope I'm in the camera. You? Yeah. Oh, yeah, go ahead. Since you're nearby.
Hi, Tom. How are you doing? Thank you for coming to Chiang Mai.
Oh, thank you for the invite.
I wanted to ask you something about the event from a few days ago when the one that generated a number of funny gifs about you getting skewered by a red candle, by a green candle on Telegram. A number of times over the last couple of years, whenever there is a highly timed event that has a large number of traders expect a specific type of outcome. For example, in 2017, when the Winklevoss ETF was going to be approved or not approved in February, the just before an announcement, just before the event, there is a large wipeout situation in which a move counter to expectations clear a large number of shorts or longs which are placed in a specific position before the move actually takes place. So most people were expecting the ETF to pass. Some people were not, but just before it failed, the price sank to 800 or 900 from 1200. There was a rapid move upwards that margin called a large number of traders on most exchanges. It seems to me that what happened a few days ago is similar in the sense that strong expectations for the price to drop below 6,000 at a number of positions for a number of people open as shorts that were cleared by a large upwards move. What do you think of that?
Yeah, so that's a good observation. So the observation is right before some kind of an event, the stops get wiped out in both directions, basically. So this happened back in March of 2017, where the ETF announcement was coming, and for some reason the price spiked unreasonably and then immediately crashed. That does happen. So there's several reasons for these things. Now, I don't believe in conspiracy theories. There's no hidden entity that cares about your $1,000 position so much that they are going to risk hundreds of Bitcoins in order to get somebody's $100. It doesn't work that way. So these spikes happen for two reasons. One, some very smart trader recognizes that Bitcoin is illiquid, especially the altcoins, and he sees what kind of positions there are in the market, and he makes a calculated risk trade to wipe out those traders and profit from them. I do not consider this manipulation. I consider this someone with more money. That person takes a risk because there could be a bigger player waiting for him to do that, and they can take all of his money or her money. So that's one reason why it happens. Another reason why it happens is basically just natural forces. Some people just can't believe that gold continues to be in a bear market, right? But nobody cares about gold anymore. Same thing with silver. It just happens. So sometimes there's nobody left to sell, and the price starts to go up. There's nobody left to buy, and the price starts to go down. And when everyone has already shorted, and everyone has already sold, and there's nobody left, the only people that are left are buyers, even at the top. And then one guy has to cover his shorts, and that causes another guy to cover his shorts, and it creates the snowball effect. So some of it is natural forces, some of it is a bigger trader than another trader, and some of it is just market exhaustion. It's almost impossible to tell which one it is in real time. You have to do a lot of analysis in order to come up. And even in traditional markets, anytime there was a flash crash, everyone is always looking for that big seller. Everyone's always looking for the smoking gun. I couldn't believe they blamed the 2008 flash crash. 2010 flash crash. They called it the fat finger on some guy in London. That is ridiculous. No one guy can cause a flash crash. They basically found a scapegoat to make everybody happy. And that's not how these things work. The answer is either you go trade more liquid assets, like the stock, like Apple stock, for example, or you set the right stop loss on the right exchange. Everyone makes fun of me that I shorted Bitcoin a week ago, but I set a proper stop loss that I did not get wiped out on the Tether implosion. Like, the worst thing that could have happened to my trade happened, and I'm still in my trade, and I'm still happy with my trade. And in fact, if my trade gets back to my entry, I'm probably gonna double down because I'm happy that I didn't go all in back then. I went moderately. So you enter proper positions, and if you can't handle the volatility of your asset, you need to trade A, with less leverage, or B, a less volatile asset. Anyone else? Yeah, come on up. I'll give you the mic.
Hi there. I'm trying to learn how to trade.
There you go.
Hello?
Yep, perfect.
I'm trying to learn how to trade in the system I'm learning. You got location, the divergence, the momentum indicator, and then price structure. So in my system, 6,100 would have been like at the bottom of a range, but you went short there, so that's really different from what I've been taught. So you talk about that.
Sure. To me, the momentum indicators is the last thing I look at. If it's the first thing you look at, then you might see it the other way. But for me, it's the last thing I look at. A location, well, what does that mean? Okay. Fibonacci levels and support resistance are my second least favorite thing, right? So for me, the order of operations goes like this. The first thing is price. And to me, price means candlesticks. So if I see shooting stars, hammers, dojis, I use those candlesticks to try and time reversals. My second most important thing in my trading is chart patterns. Those are the triangles, the cups and handles, the shapes. Basically, those are the only two, the triangles and the cups and handles. And those are momentum indicators. There's two ways to trade. Some people buy the dip and sell the top. But it's not always easy to recognize where the dip is. And it's not always easy to recognize where the top is. A much safer way to trade is to trade momentum. You trade the descending and the ascending triangles. And my trade, 80% or 70% of the reason for my trade had to do with one thing and one thing only, the descending triangle. It was very convenient that the descending triangle was in line with the TD sequential, which is the third most important thing that I use in my trading. So it's candlesticks, AKA price, or price, AKA candlesticks, the shape of the candlestick. Chart patterns like triangles. TD sequential, because it's a time-based indicator. Then I pay attention to support resistance. These are your moving averages, your Fibonacci's, your prior highs and lows, your trend lines. And then finally, I look at the oscillators, your MACD, your RSI, your OBV, your CMF, and divergence. Though I really like using the divergence. So to me, the $6,000 level has been beaten up and beaten up and beaten up. Like the $6,000 level doesn't get stronger every time it supports the price. It gets weaker. That's why these triangles break down. And I honestly thought that the 6,000 support, and by 6,000, I really mean like 6.2, 6.3, the vicinity of 6,000. To me, that support is on its left legs. I'm already amazed it hasn't yet broken down, but I still expect it to break down. That was the reason for the short. Did I enter a little early? Yes, but I entered for multiple reasons. Could I have entered? Could I have had a better entry into the trade? Absolutely. There was picking the right direction is not the most important thing in a trade. Your position size, your risk management, and your trade execution are very important. Choosing what trade you're going to make was simple for me. The only time this year I ever even considered a bullish trade was in February, when we bounced off 6,000 the very first time. The very first time we bounced off 6,000, the first week of February, strong. That was the only time I considered a bullish trade. Ever since then, the only trades I ever looked for, which I didn't execute until recently, were all bearish trades. Because with every hit of 6,000 after the first hit, that support got weaker and weaker and weaker. And is it possible that we can still reverse and go to new all-time highs? Yes. Is it likely? No, at least based on my technical analysis. Again, people that traded in the opposite direction as me have done very well this week. Did they take their profits? Some did, some didn't. Those that did well. If they didn't, it's a paper profit. Is my paper loss going to turn into a realized profit? I hope so. Is their paper gain going to turn into a realized loss? I kind of hope so, but I do want people to be good traders, right? So if they took the money off the table, they can then go short from there and make more money, and that's great. But there's way more to trading than picking the right direction. You can pick the wrong direction. As long as your risk management is good and you take that profit off the table, you set that break-even stop, you'll do well. So much of trading is discipline and patience. I don't have a problem with this being my only short. I was patient. I've calculated that this is my best probability play. Even though I don't have a lot to gain, I'm only looking for a $1,000 drop. Back when we were at 17,000 or 16,000 or 15,000, I don't remember, whenever January 10th was, when I declared that the bear market's upon us, sure, there were a lot more money to be made, but I felt that those trades were too risky to short. I felt that this was not a very risky short trade, even though it could well be, but that's fine. I properly chose my position size. I properly chose my stop loss, and I'm still comfortable with my trade. And I'm being patient. All right, next. I'll repeat the question. I don't. I stopped figuring my risk reward ratio after about a year after learning how to trade, and I learned how to trade in 2003. It's just not something I care about. I know where I'm entering. I calculate where my stop loss needs to be, and the moment my trade is making enough money for me to consider walking away with the profit, I immediately set a break-even stop loss. And at that point, I look for the best exit. I don't know where my exit is going to be. I can't tell you right now that my exit is going to be at 5,000. If I see the market falling hard, if I see the sequential telling me that we can go lower, there's no reason for me to take my profit at 5,000. But if I see the market if I see my sequential giving me a 9 buy at 5,200, I'm not going to wait for the 5,000. My goal right now is to be profitable enough to set a break-even stop so that my trade cannot lose me any money. Unless it's a black swan event, like an exchange being taken out, or something weird. But under normal market conditions, the moment you're making enough money where you're even thinking about taking your profit, don't ever let that position go back into the red. Take it off the table, break even. All right, come on up.
Thanks, Glenn. Just a quick one on the market liquidity. What's your views on why there's been so little liquidity in the market? We've seen these volatility spikes recently. Is this endemic in terms of how the market is?
Yeah, so Bitcoin's liquidity is very low. The main reason why Bitcoin's liquidity is very low is because not a lot of people want to risk their Bitcoin on a Bitcoin exchange. I mean, Mt. Gox can happen again and probably will. An exchange like One Broker just got shut down. Almost every exchange is at risk, unless that exchange is fully cooperating with the government. Is Gemini going to get shut down? Probably not. Coinbase, DAX, probably not. New exchanges like Bakkt are coming out. They're probably okay, but they have no volume. How come Gemini has no volume? Gemini has never been hacked. They work with the government. They're trying to get the ETF. They have the money for some very good developers. Never heard any issues of that exchange going down. No one trades there. Why? Because most people want to trade anonymously. Most people don't want to go through the government. And a lot of people don't want to risk their Bitcoin. So liquidity is low. Liquidity is also spread out in a traditional market. You know, all 90% of Apple stock sits at the NASDAQ. You can't trade on the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ doesn't do retail trading. The NASDAQ connects to brokers. Fidelity, Charles Schwab, Interactive Brokers, Options Express, I used to trade there, all of them, Scott Trade. And those brokers, you trade through them. They go to a single pool of liquidity. If Bitcoin has a single pool of liquidity, maybe the liquid side trade will be able to pull this off. If there was a single pool of liquidity, there would be a lot less volatility because one player with $10 million would not be able to move the market if the liquidity is shared. But if all that Bitcoin is sitting at one place, creates a very dangerous honeypot. A, for hackers, internal, external, and B, you know, the government in the US didn't come for the gold in 1934. Just made a phone call. Well, maybe a phone call or a telegram back then, where they just said, send a letter to every bank. Hey, all that gold you're holding for people, it's ours now. So if all that Bitcoin is sitting back in an ETF, and all that Bitcoin is sitting at a government-controlled exchange, in 20 years, it's just one phone call, one email. Hey, we're gonna take 30% of all that Bitcoin. We're gonna take 50% of all the global Bitcoin. We're just gonna confiscate it all, and we're gonna build our own monetary system on top of it, just like they did with gold. So it does worry me whenever a large amount of Bitcoin ends up in one place, and it worries me even more if that place is fully compliant and fully regulated by the government. All right, anything else? All right, coming up, guys. There's two of you, but both come up.
Hey, John, I'm going to your workshop tomorrow. I just wanted to ask about Ether USD pair. Do you ever do any analysis on that and kind of, do you think we've kind of hit the bottom, or what do you think the forecast for Ether is?
Sure. So I occasionally do analysis on altcoins like Ether. Now, I find it very annoying that I have to do analysis on Ether in terms of Bitcoin and in terms of US dollars, right? Like, I don't do two analysis on Apple stock in terms of US dollars and in terms of something else. So that part is a little bit annoying. I find that the one that matters for altcoins is the altcoin versus Bitcoin. However, when that altcoin hits certain very round numbers, $100, $200, you know, $10, these round numbers. When it does that, it does seem to have an effect. Now, I think Ethereum as a project has an insane amount of problems. Ethereum is trying to decentralize something that A, doesn't need to be decentralized, and B, probably can't be decentralized. This is why you can't run an Ethereum node. This is why Ethereum is not decentralized. And this is why EOS and Tezos and Waves and God knows what else is taking a big chunk out of Ethereum. In reality, I think EOS has a lot more potential in what Ethereum is trying to do, because EOS is a lot more centralized than Ethereum is. And when someone builds a more centralized version of EOS, they will take a big chunk out of EOS. Now, the tokens themselves, I mean, they're just useless. They're just scammy. But I'm talking about the database. Smart contracts, if you're going to put all of smart contracts through a database, that database needs to be centralized and efficient, because none of these ICOs, they're centralized companies, guys. It's a centralized company that's issuing an ICO. There's no reason for that ICO to sit on top of an inefficient database. They need efficiency to move that token around. And the more centralized your database, the more efficient that database is. Just these things are not necessary. So I think Ethereum is finally dying, and we'll see what happens. They also have a big problem. How do you go to proof of stake? How do you tell your miners to stop mining? Good luck with that, Vitalik. Like, I have no idea how he's going to do that. That chain's probably going to split again. And where the ICOs on top of Ethereum are going to go? Are they going to go with the unproven proof of stake and sharding, or are they going to stick with the miners? And even if you stick with the miners, how long does that chain have? A lot of these ICOs, they're just going to, this would be an amazing opportunity for those ICOs to just issue another round of funding their company on another blockchain. If it's a blockchain. To me, it's not. To me, it needs to be proof of work. So I really don't care about those coins, which is why I don't care to waste my time doing analysis on them. On my videos, I do, popular stocks, Netflix, Amazon, Apple, Facebook. I don't really do TA on penny stocks. I don't really do TA on things I don't care about. And I see the altcoin space, which includes Ethereum and Litecoin and everything else, the same way. Why do I want to waste my precious time analyzing a ticker I just don't care about and I don't believe is going to exist long term? If there is no point in holding that ticker as a long-term investor, I don't want to waste my time analyzing it. If I was a trader that was private in my house, would I maybe trade that stuff for more Bitcoin? Maybe, but I would always be scared that A, the exchange would go, the altcoin exchange would go down, and B, the token itself can go down any moment, and I don't want to take that risk. Is too high for me. All right, there was a question in the back there with the hat. You good? All right, we got about 25 more minutes. Oh, hi, you want to come up? Sorry, say again? Hi. If you like, if you want to bring the mic, that'd be great.
So basically, I got the coin, when it was less than £2 for one coin. So I bought hundreds, maybe thousands.
For what coin?
Bitcoin. So that was
When it was less than
£2. It was less than £2.
£2.
It might have been less than £1. I wasn't using it for trading. I was using it for other things on Silk Road. And the problem that I found is I've only got back onto Bitcoin because I still have a wallet. I just hope it's all of the wallets that's been seized. But the problem that I had with the whole, Tor, Onion browser is that they're trying to make it legal, but at the same time they're trying to make it illegal. You can't be bipolar in this. You have to make a decision whether you're going to be legal or illegal. And obviously the banks can't control it, they can't control your money. And also at the same time, one thing I never did was I never figured out how to take money out because it was in my wallet. And I was making fake profile IDs. And they was, because I didn't want for them to find us. The only reason I got off the dark web was because Silk Road was shut down twice. I'm pretty sure the second time the government seized it. And they seemed like some 28-year-old software engineer, and obviously there's loads of them. And what my question is seriously like, we're trying to avoid the government. We don't want to pay taxes. We want to have a marketplace where we don't have to, deal with them. We want to deal with it ourselves. And I only believe in Bitcoin because it's so easy to make another coin. It's just, make another coin. But no, you can't beat the original coin. The amount of coins I have, when last year someone was like, oh, it's gone up to 15,000. I was like, well, I deleted my tool. The thing is, how anonymous is it really? Why does it say you need to be VPN now? I want to know how anonymous is it? Because I'm not saying just because of trading or whatever, if they make it legal, they're going to tax it, So everybody needs to have, privacy. And that was the whole point. Everyone went on Silk Road. That was the website. So what's your thing about, what's your idea about that?
Sure. So, you see my presentation in the beginning? Okay. So I talked about that. Privacy is not privacy, but coin security is challenging. Okay. People need to learn how to not trust their coin to another party. So, for example, in my trading, the trade that I made, I transferred all the Bitcoin I was willing to lose. And my trade is my entire account. There's no reason for me to keep Bitcoin on an exchange that I am not actively trading. That's not what I do in my traditional trading account. I let it all sit there because I'm not worried about government confiscating. So Bitcoin is not very anonymous yet. It'll be a lot more anonymous in the future, but those are two very different things. Bitcoin being anonymous and Bitcoin being unconfiscatable are completely separate. So the reason why the Silk Road Bitcoin were confiscated is because the admins of Silk Road did not do a very good job protecting those Bitcoins on behalf of their users. That's why it got seized by the US government. One broker, an exchange that got shut down by the US government recently, they went down for a week, and then they sent a tweet saying, hey, you guys can go and get your Bitcoin back. Because the government was not able to seize their Bitcoin. They did a much better job protecting their Bitcoin on behalf of users. So there's really nothing you can do about that other than taking the time to learn how to protect your own Bitcoin. If you have to have Bitcoin on another computer with a third party, you want to keep the least amount of Bitcoin there and always prepared that that Bitcoin, they will steal it, or it will be stolen from them, or the government is going to steal it from them. And there's really nothing you can really do about it because that's what happens when you give it to them. Now, I occasionally used to use Tor. I can't remember the last time I used Tor. It is the slowest, most annoying website browser I have ever used in my life. And this basically means this. Decentralization is grossly inefficient. It is insanely expensive, and it is slow. That's decentralization. Bitcoin is very expensive. Look at all the mining that's happening to secure Bitcoin. Bitcoin is slow for some with its 10-minute blocks. It's not always anonymous, but you know what? But it works. Because when you really need to look at that website that you don't want, you want to make sure that you're staying under the radar, you have no choice but to use it. And there's also not a lot of money, right? Like who's profiting from making Thor more useful? It's difficult. The funding is difficult, right? So these things are challenging, and you just need the right-minded people that are willing to put in hard effort for no money to build these tools, like Satoshi himself. Satoshi didn't do an ICO. He didn't do crowdfunding. He just did it. He just launched it. And it works. And a lot of people have put in their time and effort and all that brain power and all that value in making Bitcoin work. And the system stays up 99.99% of the time. Hasn't been down in years, not even for a second. So I'm not really sure what the question was, other than some of it is the responsibility of the Bitcoin holder. And other than that, it's the responsibility of the companies that you trust to hold your Bitcoin for you. And sometimes there's nothing you can do to solve the problem.
What my question is how do I get my coins out of my wallet? Because I just kept them simply. At this point in time, I did not know that less than £2 is going to go up. Last year it was about 15,000 for one coin. And these days, people can't even afford one coin. They can only afford a quarter, you know? So I had no idea. And I completely got myself off the web, the Tor onion browser, because it was set up by the American Intelligence Agency of the Navy. And that's how they used it to build Silk Road, and that's how the dark web existed. You only see 10% of the web, but then when you download this, you see the full. It's like a mountain, 10% below 90%.
Yeah, if your Bitcoin was on Silk Road, you're not getting them back, unfortunately. And the government seized all of that. The website is down. They never announced you can go and get your Bitcoin back. It's probably gone. It was resold. Now,
Adam Draper bought it.
yep, Adam Draper bought them. Now, there were some interesting lawsuits, actually. I know one guy out of the UK was suing the US government because he had Bitcoin on Silk Road and he was a merchant on Silk Road, but he wasn't selling anything illegal on Silk Road. He was selling like drug, like trinkets, like bracelets and bongs. So he wasn't selling actual drugs. He was selling legal things on Silk Road, and his account was also seized. So he put in a lawsuit against the US government saying, why did you seize my Bitcoin? I wasn't selling anything illegal. And I'm not sure what happened to that lawsuit. I'm pretty sure it didn't go anywhere. But that was a legitimate lawsuit, I felt. There's really nothing you can do in that case. But here's the thing, right? This is your situation. Also explains something. The reason why none of these altcoins can compete with Bitcoin is because of stories like this, where you had Bitcoin at $2 and you never thought that it would go up to this level. And that's what makes Bitcoin unique. That's what makes Bitcoin decentralized. That's what makes Bitcoin a true store of value and organically decentralized. Because every altcoin since 2011, the only reason anyone holds that altcoin is because they want to get rich. Is because they missed the $2 Bitcoin or didn't realize it had future value for price. And because all of these other altcoins are being speculated on for the sole purpose of getting rich, they will never actually have any utility. They will never have organic demand. And these are the stories that separate Bitcoin from the rest.
Sorry.
Right, last one.
Stop you there. I did use multiple wallets, and some of them actually still exist with my Bitcoin. It's just the ones that have no money in them. I hid myself so I can find it, but this Bitcoin still works. But what I'm trying to ask is, how do I take the Bitcoin and put it in cash, like withdraw it?
It really depends on which wallets you were using. If you were using wallets with third parties, and those third parties, wait, which one?
Blockchain, obviously, I was using that.
Blockchain.info.
But I was using different accounts.
Right. If you were using the blockchain.info wallet, you may still be able to get those back. I remember one of the stupidest things blockchain.info did, especially back in the 2012, 2013 days, is they would email you your backup. So you may want to check your emails. Proton Mail didn't exist back then. Blockchain.info used to email you your backup. So that means if your email got hacked, they stole your Bitcoin. That's how BitPay ended up getting, that's how people got, that's what happened to some people after the BitPay hack. Like you hack someone's email and you start searching for the blockchain.info wallet. Now I did that as well back then, but my emails, I encrypted my backup and then had it emailed to me. Still bad, but not as bad. But some people had an unencrypted backup emailed to them, and it's probably still sitting in their email box. So if you use blockchain.info, you may want to reach out to them and try to find that account. But if you forgot your password, then they probably can't help you. Yeah, lost Bitcoins is a problem. Bitcoin security, like I talked about in the presentation. Thank you.
So yeah, everyone download Proton Mail.
Yeah, I use Proton Mail. I've used them. I've used them since beta. I've been a big fan. All right, questions? You had a question? Come on up. You have a question? Yes. All right, let me grab him. He had his hand up earlier, and then we'll do one more. We still got time.
So, Tony, you call a lot of altcoins and all that scamming and all that on record. Yet, you've got a BitMEX link on your website. How do you justify that, considering what BitMEX does and considering no KYC or AML with BitMEX? I mean, it's by far, I've stopped trading on it because, especially with them, right their clients and all that. of that?
Sure. Well, BitMax, for example, I don't like Binance because they have an ICO token that is generally useless, and they printed their own money. BitMax never ICO'd, right? So any exchange that did not create their own tokens is already more respected by me than an exchange that created their own token. I like the no KYC policy. I would never trade Bitcoin with a KYC exchange unless it's fully regulated. Like, I don't want the in-between. I want either an ETF that is 100% regulated and 100% legal, or I want to be on the opposite extreme. So I would rather be on an anonymous exchange with the risk of losing all my Bitcoin. I actually thought I lost some Bitcoin in one broker until 2 weeks. I had that affiliate code as well until a couple of weeks later, they said you can go and get it back. And that goes to the ethics of the people running that exchange and the security that they have. Now, the rumors of BitMax front running their clients and their people, they're just rumors until there is concrete evidence. And I'm gonna assume they're rumors. Also, I don't have a better alternative. They are very liquid. They are Bitcoin to Bitcoin, no cash. I find them to be very useful. I personally have other reasons. I was a beta tester of BitMax back in the day when they first launched. I met the creators of BitMax back before it even launched, back in Hong Kong in 2014. So I met the guys. And you stick with what you're comfortable with. There's a reason why in my 15 years of trading, I've only traded with 3 brokers. Options Express, then MB Trading, because they were one of the first to have an amazing phone app in like 2009. And then I moved to Interactive Brokers. Like, I don't want to learn a new platform. I don't want to move my Bitcoin around. I'm comfortable with BitMax because I used to trade there. I understand the platform, even though it has changed completely. I'm okay with them. You don't have to trade there, but I personally have not had a reason not to trust them. When I do, I will certainly remove that affiliate code. Oh wait, I had a question here.
I want to ask you, what is your favorite Bitcoin meme, and what do you think about the direction that Mr. Rose has taken in the last year or so in the TV show and his commentary on crypto?
Good question. So, how many of you used to watch the Bitcoin Uncensored podcast? A few of you. That was a great podcast. Very unfortunate that Joseph and Chris Rose have broken up. Okay, so I honestly think Joseph has been trolling me really, really hard lately. Not sure why. I suspect that he's the underscore tone base underscore Twitter handle, the not tone based Twitter handle that basically comments on every one of my tweets. I have a suspicion that that's Joseph. So Joseph actually had one of my favorite memes. Actually, I'm still on screen share, right? Let me sit down again. Let me go to screen share for my audience. There's a couple of my favorite memes here. Hold on. I'm gonna Google for them. Hold on. So here's one of my favorite memes. I believe Joseph made this one from formerly Bitcoin Uncensored. I just heard about Bitcoin. I'm here to fix it. This is pretty much every altcoiner since Charlie Lee is I'm here to fix Bitcoin. I just heard about it. Forget about the people that have been trying to create Bitcoin for 30 years. I will fix it, and I learned about it yesterday. So that's one of my favorite ones. And there was another one. There was a really, really cool, a cool one from The Matrix. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can Google for it. All right, hold on. Oh man, it was similar to this. Maybe it will come up with suggestions. Few more. Let's try this. Let me do one more search real quick. Hope I'm not boring everyone. Oh man, I can't find it. I have it saved, but it basically goes like this. It's a picture just like this with Keanu Reeves asking Morpheus, so what are you going to buy when one Bitcoin is $1 million? And his answer is the dip. That's one of my favorite memes. I think I have it saved somewhere. I really want to pull it up. Hold on a second. Let me just check my saved picture. And they got him with a really funny expression on that one. Let me search for Matrix. Buying the dip is not easy, guys. You usually end up catching a falling knife. Here it is. Oh, no, it's not the right one. Damn it. I had that one saved, but it's not the right one. Anyway, search for that one. It's really cool. Yeah, so those are pretty much my favorites. I wish I could find it, but I can't. All right, let's stop screen share. Oh yeah, Chris Rose. So it's hard for me to comment on people because I don't really pay attention to people that much. I'm too busy. So I haven't watched since Chris Rose and Joseph broke up. I haven't seen either of their podcasts because they're not as good as when they were together. So I can guess that Chris Rose is a huge Monero fan and he now believes in altcoins. So I think that Joseph used to, keep him on track. I guess he devolved to the altcoin side without Joseph. I don't know. Joseph's still a Bitcoin maximalist, as far as I know. So I have no opinion. I disagree with him. I don't believe any of those altcoins are going to exist. And that's it. But he's welcome to his opinions. Yes, come on.
Hi, Tony.
Hi.
Okay, so first of all, I just want to say I've been a fan of yours before I knew I was a fan of yours. I actually teach in my class in Tampa, Florida, where you're supposed to come to sometime with Gabe and Rosa. I lead off my class sometimes and I say, I got into Bitcoin in 2013. I started reading Cointelegraph in 2014. Who the hell is this Russian guy telling me I'm going to lose my money month after month after month? And it used to piss me off because I didn't know what the hell I was doing then. And then I started listening to your podcast later. And you started mentioning that you were the guy that wrote the things on Cointelegraph. I'm like, oh my God, that's it. That's when I started watching you every day. So my question is, when are you going to come to Tampa? Because Gabe and Rosa already said I can introduce you.
Yeah, so Tampa is definitely on the list. Right now, my schedule is pretty set into La Big Conf in Chile. So La Big Conf is an event the first week of December in Chile. So from Chile, I need to make my way up to New York by Christmas. So that gives me 2 weeks. And in that 2 weeks, I may do 2 stops for a workshop. My choices are Puerto Rico, Aruba, because my family's on vacation there, and they actually have a Bitcoin community. Tampa, and Tennessee. And Tennessee is either Nashville or Chattanooga, because I have connections there. And Tyler is actually in Tennessee, and I would like to spend some time and work with him. So 2 of those 4 cities are gonna probably get hit in December. If Tampa is not one of them, I'll probably try to come in February. But I will try to make it to Tampa by the end of Q1 of next year. I do want to hit Tampa, but yeah, say hi to Gabe and Rosa for me. Are you here on vacation? You didn't come up all the way to Chiang Mai from Tampa just for me, did you?
Do you remember somebody that paid for a price for your podcast and said, I'm tempted to go all the way to Chiang Mai for America? Remember that?
If it was
I
like,
said Chiang Mai, that's sold out, and I'm thinking about coming all the way to America.
was that on email or on?
That was the paid for thing on your thing, right?
Oh, yeah. That's right. That's awesome. Thank you for coming out. First time here? You love it? Oh, it's amazing, right? Oh, Chiang Mai is amazing. If my conference goes well if the Unconfiscatable conference goes well in Vegas, one of these days I am going to come up here and try to do something here. Or I'm going to try to convince Hodl to do their conference here. The one that they did in Riga. Maybe they'll start doing them twice a year, and maybe they'll do one here. But I would love to do a Bitcoin conference here. This city is amazing. Hey guys, all right, how are we doing on time? We done? Organizers? All right, we're good on time. I'm gonna hang out a little bit. We're gonna end the live stream. Hope the audio was good. Hope there was some video. We got a good crowd here. We had probably about 50 people. It was good turnout, probably more. All right, guys, how was the live stream? Hey, Leah's on. Nick Crypto's on. It's a good time. I thought I saw Corey on earlier. Yeah, thanks for watching, guys. All right, yeah, shout out to Zen. I see that you're on as well. All right, guys, I'm gonna call it a night. It is about 9 p.m. here. Probably not gonna have another show tonight, but and tomorrow's my workshop, so not gonna be around tomorrow night. But probably on Sunday I'll try and do another podcast. We'll talk to you all later and see you all on the next one.